Good morning, folks. I'm Dan. Today I'm working on Zenith style gascolators for the 701 project. Zenith style gascolators are really a simple gascolator. They're square tubing with a base plate and a top plate on them, and basically it's just a water trap is all it is, or a water drain. They show them on the floor of the rear cabin, and they feed out of there back up into the cabin area to the shutoff valve. Whether I'm going to use these gascolators or not, I'm not 100% sure, but I need the practice with the TIG on aluminum, so we're going to build a couple of them, and I think I'm probably going to use them by making a couple modifications to them. They show threading every place through the whole gascolator on every one of the inlets and outlets of the gascolator. They show a threaded barb fitting is what Zenith provides. I'm going to put AN fittings in all my fuel system. So what I'm going to do is I plan on welding in AN6 bungs in all of them except for the bottom, which will have a threaded drain in it. So whether I buy weld-on bungs or whether I set up the CNC lathe and turn my own, why, I haven't decided on that yet. That'll be a decision made farther down the road. This is going to be part one of this series, so I'm probably going to get them drilled, and I'm going to drill them 1/8 27 tap size, which is what Zenith calls for. Those will probably get drilled out later on to whatever is appropriate to the bungs that I install in it. So I've got a step to set that bung in and center it up before I weld it in place. So that's kind of the plan. I've got my pieces cut already, which I suppose I could show those to you here. These are the pieces of tubing that are the gascolator body itself. It's 1.5 by 1.5 6061 aluminum tubing. They're 2.5 inches long, and the outlets are 15 millimeters down from the top, which is approximately 5/8. They've got an 1/8 inch plate welded to the top like that, and then the base plates will be drilled in the center, and I will drill and tap them, as I said before, with 1/8 inch pipe tap to accept the drain in them, and they'll be centered up just like that and welded all the way around. Zenith calls for this to only be 1.5 inches wide. I had some 2 inch, and they all also only call for 1/8 inch thick. I think 1/8 inch may be a little bit undersized to tap your holes in and have them reliably sealed. So I've gone to 1/4 inch, and that will be the assembly. So the first thing is going to be go and drill all these holes and drill and tap the base plate, and then we'll set it up on the welding table and start welding them together. Okay, we've got our body drilled. 11/32 is the drill size for 827, or 1/8 inch pipe, which is 27 threads per inch. And we've got our base plates in here. Set them up the same way. And I could very easily have installed a stop on this, but it's just as easy for the few that I've got to do just to set them to the edge of the vise with a parallel. And these will be 1/8 27, so I might as well go ahead and put that 1/8 inch pipe tap in now. Now when you weld these on, you'll want to be mindful of which way you tap these, because pipe taps tap at a taper, so the side that is up right now we're going to want to be on the bottom. Okay, what I've done now, I've already played a little bit with this first one. The second one's set up here, and everything's a little warm here. I better grab my gloves. You want to make sure the orientation of your outlets on the body of it. The plans show for them to have an outlet out either side, and then the one outlet, or the forward facing outlet, to be in line with the longer piece of your base plate. I don't think it's absolutely essential because you can mount your base plate however you want, I think, probably under the floor. But we just kind of square everything up, and this is the way mine's going to sit. So what I've done is I've taken a piece of scrap channel iron, actually a little fixture here. That way I can set it up here and clamp everything in place. A couple of reasons for that. Rather than clamping it directly to the table, I can move it around and weld all the sides of it rather than having it fixed one place on the table and having to unclamp it and move it and then reclamp it again. So that's part of the reason. The other reason is it gives good contact with the plate that it's mounted to, so we don't get any arcing between the table, between the ground contact and the aluminum itself, which leaves you nasty looking little places. Now that I've done the first one, this is warmed up pretty well, this piece of channel iron, so it'll preheat the bottom. My welds were a little bit cold on that one. They're kind of ugly, but there again, it's the first one out, and it'll do what it's supposed to do. It's only the fuel system. It's not like it's anything that's really important. Anyway, that's the way I'm jigging them up. Everything lines up pretty well. They're preheating. And let's go ahead and see if we can't get this one welded up. Well, my welds are not the prettiest in the world, but I will bet that they will hold up just fine, and that they will be fuel proof. Well, it looks ugly along the bottom. Anyway, there we go. Up and running. So now what I'm going to do is just go ahead and clean those up a little bit, and we'll set them aside until we've decided what we're going to do for fittings on the sides and the bottom of them. We know what we're going to do on the bottom. They're going to take a standard drain, fuel tank drain. But like I say, I think we're going to weld bungs into the sides of them for AN6 fittings, so that way we can plumb our hoses directly into them. Hoses and hard lines, mainly hard lines. Okay, boys and girls. Well, I got actually 4 of them welded up. Welds are not exceptionally pretty. They all pretty much look like this. Good penetration on them. I'm not concerned about that. This one's been polished up just a little bit. I'll have to go through and clean the rest of them up. I've got the other three. Actually, I built 4 of them. The other 3 are still hot. This is the only one that's cooled off, and we polished it down. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at this for right now. I'm going to work on the bungs from the side. I'm going to need 3, 6, and then for whatever I need for fuel tanks and all of that, and my drains and things. So once we get that figured out, well, I will leave that as part 2, or we'll finish up these gascolators. So if you find these videos helpful, why, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up if you like them. Any comments, suggestions, complaints about my bad welding, I'm more than happy to hear them. Leave them in the comment section for me below. And thanks for taking the time to watch.